Hello, today I thought we'd do something a little different and talk about tropes. So I went online, found a few that caught my interest, and now we're going to talk about them. First, I think we should discuss what a trope is. A lot of people consider it to just be a cliche, something that should be avoided, but that's not really true, especially because there's so many of them out there that it's really hard to not see at least one show up in a book. What a trope realistically is it's shorthand. It's telling the person that you're talking to that you are talking about a narrative device that is commonly used enough that it has a name, like the amnesia trope, which coincidentally is the first one we'll be talking about. But that's all a trope is. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just a thing that exists, and whether it's good or bad is entirely determined by the quality of the person using it. So the first one we'll be talking about is the amnesia trope. You don't see this one too much anymore, at least in the books I read. Mostly, I think, because it's just a bit weak for its purpose. That said, it is used, and if used well, it can be very fun to experience. Uh, this is recorded just after The Frugal Wizard came out, which of course was a very well done usage of the amnesia trope. Let's talk about what the amnesia trope is accomplishing narratively. Because it's one thing to say, oh, this character doesn't remember who they are, but think about it from the author's point of view and ask why they're making this character have amnesia. They're doing it to give the reader a POV that can ask the dumb questions. They're basically just an exposition sounding board to fill in the reader on things that they'll need to know about the world they're entering. And you see this done all across media, and it generally serves the same purpose to just give an excuse for an exposition dump. I don't know that I have a lot of examples of the amnesia trope because, like I said, it's just not one that I commonly run into. In non books, of course, my favorite example would be Final Fantasy X's usage of it, which kind of subverts the normal amnesia trope with the character pretending to have amnesia. And they're pretending so that they can ask questions without looking stupid. So it's really just kind of telling the audience the purpose of the amnesia trope while still making use of it. Which I always thought was kind of an entertaining twist on the concept. So the next trope I'd like to talk about is the portal trope. It's very similar to the amnesia trope narratively. How many times am I going to say trope in this video? It accomplishes the same functions, which is to say that it gives the reader a character that has an excuse to explore, to get exposition. The most recent example of this is also The Frugal Wizard, and I found it very entertaining how Sanderson used both amnesia and portal at the same time to give exposition in different ways. But getting back to the portal trope itself, I tend to like this one more. It feels less contrived to me than amnesia because it's baked into how the world works instead of just, oh, now this character has amnesia, I guess they have to ask questions. And instead just, now a character's walked through a portal or been teleported or the TARDIS sent them somewhere new. They're all the same thing. Even if you don't view time travel or dimension shifts as a portal, realistically they're accomplishing the same thing and dumping a character into a new world for them to explore. and consequently for you to explore with it. Let's talk about dead parents, or more specifically, what it accomplishes. Though I do think that the trope needs a rename because it's not really about dead parents, it's about taking away a safety blanket from a character, whether it is in literally killing their parents or if it's in giving them abusive parents or step parents, or if they never knew their parents at all and they're orphans. It's really setting up the expectation that the character doesn't have an authority figure to rely on to help them out of trouble. So they have to rely on themselves and perhaps the family they find along the way, but that's a different trope. And I don't think we're talking about it today. Um, the dead parent trope is just kind of hilariously overdone. In D&D, you see it to the point where it's just considered standard edgelord behavior to give a character dead parents because it works. It's easy to do and it works. It takes away a safety blanket and just allows your character to develop their heroing ways without interference. I personally don't care for the dead parent trope too much. It can be used well, but I think the creator, the author, whatever medium you're working in, they need to be very careful to not get too cliched while using the trope. Moving on from narrative setup, let's talk about narrative development. What's I'm not sure that I can think of a more common method for narrative development than the training trope, the training arc. So let's talk about it. Like any trope, it can be done well or done poorly. I tend to be of two minds about this particular trope. On the one hand, I really like seeing how a character development develops. It lets me feel like the character has earned their power. And that's really the purpose behind it. To let the reader feel like that a character has earned their power. That it wasn't just thrown into their lap and now they're all powerful and let's move on to why they need this power. Simultaneously, if it's done poorly though, it's a problem. It can really bog down a story if you go on and on about pointless training. Yes, we know this person has this magic. Yes, we know they're learning how to do it. If you're going to spend half the book telling us how this character learns their particular flavor of magic, and that's all you're doing, I'm going to get bored. I want something to happen. I want to see them using this magic to increasing amounts of skill throughout the book so that I can have progress markers so I can see the development, not just be told, hey, they're training, they're getting better. The last trope I want to talk about is one that actually kind of annoys me a little most of the time. It's the damsel in distress trope. I find this one to be irritating. I understand why it's done. It's an easy way to give the hero a reason to go on a mission. But it requires our damsel, regardless of gender, to be annoying and sidelined. I get it. If the damsel character is being attacked by a group of individuals, they're probably going to lose and be taken. But at the same time, it's so overdone, it's so belittling to that character, and if it's a well-developed character, that'll probably annoy the reader. However, when it's subverted, I tend to enjoy it. When the damsel character is actually a very competent individual that is capable of taking care of themselves, when the hero shows up to find that they weren't really needed. I mean, they might have helped speed things up at the end, but the damsel could have taken care of it. They were well on their way to getting themselves out of this situation. That kind of subversion is one that I really enjoy because it simultaneously removes what annoys the trope from that particular example and empowers a character that I already liked. I think that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to talk about today, though. So, if you liked this video, please leave a like. If not, leave a dislike. And if you have any other tropes you'd like me to discuss in the future, I would appreciate you putting them in the comment section. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.